Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And we are back with our Tandem... What did I call it? Tandem Fandom. Woo!
That's fun.
I decided I'm going to title all of our book club episodes during our tandem read, Tandem Fandom, and then just have the chapters. Because I feel like it's fun.
That. Yeah.
I started that with our first one, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? We're going to keep doing that. Zeke, my husband, was kind of like, really? And I'm like, yes, really? It's my podcast. So, Tandem Fandom, week 2 we're gonna be covering Empire of Storms chapters 12 through 19 and Tower of Dawn chapters 7 through 17. So we're a little Tower of Dawn heavy this week, but it's okay, everyone. Not bad parts of it.
I've had so many people reach out to us and been like, they keep sending, like, so many keep sending us reels about Chaol and how gross he is. And I'm like, you get it. But then a few will send them and be like, he's a great person. How dare you? And I'm like, you don't get it.
You just don't get it. And that's okay. You can be wrong. That's allowed.
In real life, though,
kidding.
you can have your opinions.
Yes.
We can have ours, and we can still be friends. And that's that on that.
Honestly, I mean, if you've been here for any amount of time, it's a 50-50 chance on if Ellie and I agree on a character or like an ending of something. And I love that about us. I love that.
Do you?
There are some things I wish you agreed with me on, for sure. But
I was going to say, because coming up next week or the week after, we're talking Powerless, and Melissa's very passionate about that. And I am not.
I will say that now. I say it now that I like that we disagree on things. I might be singing a different tune in that episode, but
I hope we can we can't, but it would be so funny if we could add in a snippet 3 weeks from now when we do that episode to back to this one where you're I know. But we're chill, we're fun, it's all good here.
I love our differences. I hate you. I hate mine. It probably will be like that on a more mild level, but we'll see. We'll see, because Ellie and I have very purposefully not talked about our thoughts outside of I love it or I didn't like it that much in real life on that series. Yeah. Because we're waiting to do the episode.
We're waiting.
And so I'm also just a little nervous. I said this last time we talked about it. I'm going to say it again this time. But I really think that you guys in real life are going to see my feelings be hurt on the internet. I just think that's how it's going to go. Because I think if there are certain aspects of this book in the way...
nice.
No.
Nice.
No. Sorry. I don't mean that you're going to be mean to me. I just think if you not liking certain parts of the book, it's going to hurt my feelings. That's...
I feel that with A Court of Mist and Fury when people are like, oh, horrible, hate this. I'm like, well, that's me. That's my personality. So seems like you hate me.
Yeah,
I think there's nothing left here for us.
So I'm going to take that as my cue to leave.
Yeah.
But that is an upcoming Hot Goss episode. You'll definitely want to see that if you want to see our friendship end in real life, but I'm just kidding.
The podcast is on hold for the time being after that.
Due to unforeseen circumstances, we're taking a break. But this last week, we had an episode of Hot Goss comes out called If Fantasy is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right. Or Do I? Dun, dun, dun.
That was nice.
Very exciting. Thank you. It's definitely a juicy take on a lot of things, fantasy and just reading in general. So go check that out if you haven't already. There are not really any spoilers for this one, so most anyone can read it. There are some ACOTAR references and some, mid spoilers, I guess. We do reference things from Akasif and A Court of Mist and Flames and what'd I say? A Court of Mist and Flames. Thanks. Mist and Fury. I was trying so hard to remember Akamath that I said it wrong.
We use the abbreviation so much that honestly I get mixed up. I don't know the name anymore because the abbreviation is the name to me now. But yeah.
So
no, not too many spoilers. literally, I will say, I think the only spoiler comes from A Court of Mist and Furies. So as long as you've read that, you're solid. Everything else is pretty easygoing.
Yeah. But before we jump into this, I have something that I really need to talk about online, and I need all of our listeners to hear this and be, again, equally as excited as I am. And I know Ellie is excited about this too. But everyone,
I'm curious.
Shrek 5 is coming out in 2026.
Woo!
And what, Melissa? 5? Isn't that too many? Don't you think they should quit? To that I say no. Nary. But here's why.
Not with you using that word.
Here is why, you guys. The writer of Shrek 2, which is not even just arguably, factually the best Shrek to date.
It is. 100% it is. I will fight you if you think that it's not.
He's back. He's doing Shrek 5. And the core 3, Eddie Murphy, Mike Myers, and Cameron Diaz are all doing it as well. Yes.
They got everyone back. This is the year of... Who cares about
2026.
the Barbie movie? This is the year of Shrek. And also, did you hear that they're doing a reboot of Princess Diaries? And there's like 3 other key kid movies that we grew up with that they're like revamping.
But like with the original people or just redoing it? Because there's a big difference.
Yes, with the originals.
Oh, that's
the original.
That's very exciting. But yes, and honestly, the thing I am most excited about is that 90% of the audience for Shrek are adults. But it's because we were all kids when they first came out.
I know. I remember the first time I ever watched Shrek 2. And from then on, I have been forever changed.
It's love at first sight, quite literally.
I quote that movie at least once.
It's never ogre until it's really ogre.
Oh, wow. I love that.
No, I know. It quite honestly shaped my personality. So I'm excited to see what Shrek 5 does to me as an adult. And I'm also so excited that I can take my kids to it. And we're like, yep, we're going to go see a movie for you guys. Psych, it's for me.
They're like, I can't see. Someone's blocking me. And you have a perfectly clear view. And you're like, shh, not now, not now.
Not now, kitten whiskers. Daddy's busy.
Yes.
Oh, man. All right. Well, next week, we will be doing our Tandem Fandom episode, or Empire of Storms chapters 20 through 29 and Tower of Dawn chapters 18 through 24. So that's going to be week 3, everyone. And if you don't already, follow us on Instagram. Ellie created a very beautiful guide. It's on our current books highlights. It's also on our pinned post in our grid. It lays out exactly what chapters we're going to be doing what weeks. So check that out there. Keep you informed. I believe this is going to go through September, which I'm excited about get to talk about it for a while. But yeah, follow us there as well if you don't already. Subscribe on YouTube, like our stuff, follow us on Spotify. And if you have Apple Podcasts, leave us a review there because that's the only place you can leave a written review. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. We're really excited. We're gonna, whenever Ellie is ready, we're gonna just go on and jump on in. You ready? Anything else you want to add?
What if I was like, no?
Well, then I'd say let's wait. We can just look at each other.
Aw. No, I'm ready. Let's not do that.
All right. We're going to start off with Tower of Dawn, Chapter 7.
Yes.
Chaol summons the servant Kaja and asks her to go into the city and try and find any information she can on Rifthold. He also then goes to see Argon and asks him what he all knows of Rifthold. Argon doesn't want to be seen talking to him and tells him to get out of his face. Just kidding. He just says to leave. But I took it as get out of his face.
Yeah.
Irene then joins Chaol, the Coggin, and his family for dinner. Not only because she's helping to heal Chaol, but she's also very good friends with Hussar, his daughter. Now we're jumping back to Empire of Storms, Chapter 12. Aelin is haunted by the destruction and poverty she sees in Terrasen and blames herself. She leaves gold behind as they travel, but stops before they reach L.A.M E, a tower on the coast with a temple. As they check into an inn, Aelin reveals her desire to symbolically declare her return at the temple. She discusses the history of the town and its previous inhabitants, the Mycenaeans, who utilized sea dragons to defend their coastal domain. Aiden and Lysandra attempt to temper Aelin, but she declares that they must, quote, raise hell at the temple. My girl. During the journey to Skulls Bay, Rowan tells Dorian that he must eat to replenish his magic because his magic is working overtime to keep him alive after his poisoning with the wyvern venom.
Oh, Dorian I forgot about that.
Uh-huh.
I think I forgot wyverns had venom in general, so that was jarring.
Honestly, I did too until that happened with Dorian. I was just kind of like, I mean, I would be terrified of them without the venom.
I know.
I forgot that was part of it.
Yeah. You know what they kind of remind me of? This is a stretch, but throwing in a Disney reference anyways. Do you remember Fantasia? Did you ever watch Fantasia?
Oh, it has been a while. All I remember is Mickey Mouse in his coat and hat.
Okay.
So not really. And there's a dragon. I do know that. But the main reason I remember that is because the dragon broke at Disneyland in the middle of the Fantasmic show, not because of the movie.
No, not Fantasmic. The like actual. I know. Okay. So it's basically a bunch of little clips set to the music that the like classical music that they designate. Well, one of them is dinosaurs, and they have one of those old like dinosaurs with the spikes all over its body and like the spikes at the end of its tail.
Oh yes, not the Stegosaurus. They're kind of like flat. The back is kind of flat.
I don't know dinosaur species.
It doesn't matter. We're good.
It's fighting a T-Rex, and the T-Rex looks like it's got the upper hand, but then it like whips its little booty out, and the tail flings around and like smacks it in the head, and it almost wins that way. And I always think of wyverns' tails like that and it like just spiked with venom as well.
You know, that is quite a stretch, but I also see exactly where you're coming from.
Thanks.
So I like the reference. Thank you. Thanks for tying in Disney.
Yeah.
Dorian confesses his lack of understanding about his magic and despairs that his power wasn't enough to save Sorsha. And I want everyone to know that I wrote down in the notes to do this. And if you're just listening, I rolled my eyes as hard as I possibly could because once again, I am shocked and amazed that we're still talking about her.
Did you see your brain doing that? Because those babies were tucked back.
Yeah, it was lots of matter back there. Just gray. Rowan tells him that his own mate, Lyria, was also murdered. And the two bond over their shared trauma. Aw.
I know, it's so sweet.
It's like
and sad.
Sad, sweet. I'm like, oh, I like that they're friends now, but
I know.
Terrible thing to have in common.
Rowan and Dorian were not on my bingo cards to ever be friends. It's just, they're so far apart in my mind. Like, Dorian is his own world. Rowan is in his own world. So the fact that those two are together bonding, I was like, this is like your two friend groups mixing when you're like,
yes,
I don't know how to feel about this.
Yes. Well, I think it's because Dorian is Selena and Rowan is Aelin. And so even though she is the one and the same, very different journeys and very different growth, and she feels like two different people, truly. Yeah. So I agree. Like, it feels like Dorian is like OG, like beginning, and Rowan is the end, and it's odd that they're mixing.
Yeah, for sure.
Rowan agrees to help Dorian master his magic. He also tells Dorian that he should offer privateer status to Captain Rolfe and his pirates in order to sway them to join the battle against Erewhon. Oh man, you guys, I'm so nervous that it's going to be another one of those. All right, jumping back to Tower of Dawn. Irene tells Chaol that she will heal him and attempt to get him walking again. She warns him to be wary, not nary, of what he says, because the servants are paid by the Visors and the Coggan's children for information. Irene lays her hands on Chaol's wound and probes it with her magic. She feels cold, dark anger and agony of the magic that was used. Chaol tells Irene what happened to him, about word gates and word stones, word hounds, the Valg, Erewhon, Valg princes, and the collars and rings. But
he does a real tell-all with Irene right there.
But kind of. He doesn't tell her about word keys or that the king was enslaved by a Valg or that Dorian was enslaved by one. And he also doesn't reveal who attacked him or who Duke Parrington really is.
My comment did not age well within the span of 1 second.
I was like, ugh, swing and a miss, Ellie, because actually...
No, this storyline bugged the garbage out of me. Bugged me so much. Because I'm like, you have to, like, she's telling you over, well, she will. She tells him over and over, you know, you need to tell me everything in order for, like, me to be able to heal you completely. You need to face your demons, basically. And he's like, no, I don't really feel like it.
Like, Ellie. I was literally about to go, I don't really feel like it.
And I'm just like, you're your own demise. Once again,
I know.
You are the problem.
Ellie. We are simpatico this morning. Absolutely. Cosign, couldn't agree more. Chaol is his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And I know that I really think that that's why a lot of people like him, because that's pretty realistic.
It is.
And I understand. But I don't want to read about that.
No, and
like,
there are certain
it's almost
things
too real.
Yeah, okay, I don't know if I should say that. With other characters who deal with anxiety or depression, I'm like, wow, that's so relatable. I feel for that girl. Yes. But when Chaol does it, I don't know. I think it's already how his character has been established. And honestly, I think what did it for me was when he just decided to be mad at Aelin for just being herself and being like, well, I guess you're gonna kill us all now. And it's like, why you gotta be like that? I think from then on, anything he did, any redemption, I was like, yeah, I don't care because it's you. Like, that to me was just like friendship over. I don't know.
No, I agree.
But who am I to judge? I've seen something recently that said, like, I love to gossip, but I hate to be mean. I never want to be mean. That's not who I am. But I love gossiping and I'm getting so good at it. What do I do? And the top comment was like, just end it with, but I don't know. And I feel like I do that so much. But I don't know.
Who's to say? I say who
am I to judge?
We say that all the time but who's to say?
I know.
That's
just
the
really
equivalent
sounding out like, here's my hard fact opinion.
Yeah.
But who's to say?
But maybe not. I don't know. Just a girl. During their next dinner, Chaol tries to organize a private meeting with the Coggin, but he says no. Irene is in the Torre library trying to find out more information about what kind of wound Chaol has. The head librarian has found her texts and scrolls on dark magic, demons, and wounds inflicted by them. Irene finds an Eolway text called The Song of the Beginning, with illustrations of an army kneeling before a towering gateway of Blackstone, aka the Vogue. Another shows 3 figures by the gate and names them Erewhon, Orcus, and Mantix, the 3 Vogue kings. Irene decides to leave for the night because she feels a presence following her. She runs and finds a dead healer on the floor, looking as if someone had sucked the life out of her. And coincidentally, the healer looked very similar to Irene. Wah wah. We're just gonna put a pin in that and jump back on over to Empire of Storms, if you will. Aedion, Aelin, and Lysandra sneak into the temple. Aelin confronts Lord Miha? How did you pronounce his name?
Did you spell it right there?
I think so.
Then I would say Mia.
All right. Mm-hmm. Lord Miha. I'm just kidding. A lord. Not a big deal. I'm pretty sure actually it wasn't he the cousin Roland. Wasn't he Roland's dad?
This is maybe my favorite part of this whole book. I don't know, this stood out to me so much. I freaking loved it. Keep going, please. I don't know if he was the dad or I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he was Roland's dad. Okay. His soldiers, and uses her magic to crown herself with fire. When he refuses to yield, she burns him from the inside out.
Okay, we need a little recap because this stands out to me forever and ever and will never leave. Rent-free in my mind. She literally goes and blows like a little torch of fire into him and burns him from the inside out. She basically just breathes into him and he
literally
burns. Do we not remember, like, that just causes you to flashback to like Heir of Fire or even Crown of Midnight. She's terrified of her powers.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to use them. She's so scared of controlling what she has, and here she's so freaking confident and she's like, I am the queen. blows fire into him, and he incinerates.
Literally. Well,
crazy.
Yeah, but from the inside out. That's the craziest part.
She's
like, that
so
is
freaking powerful. That to me, I was like, this is a whisper of her power. She is
quite literally.
She's next level. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just because, like you said, she does practically nothing, but kills him in one of the most painful ways possible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like when I get a little sweaty from being warm. And to me, I'm like, I'm boiling. Like, he literally, all his organs, everything boiled until then it finally reached his skin and he was donezo. It's
That's
sick
so
to think about. I know.
Honestly, I if you're an author and you're listening and you're writing a book and you're like, I don't know how to make my main characters cool, here's what it is. For me personally, make their power absolutely untouchable and do not take it away. Make them the most powerful.
Yeah.
And then nothing can come close. And then also have people underestimate them, and then they come out just on top over and over and over again, to the point like, why does anybody think that they can beat them? That's what I love. I love a good assuming underdog, but they're not at all.
Exactly. Like, we know they're not.
Am I gonna write
and we're
a book?
Absolutely not. We know that they're not an underdog, but they don't know. And so all of us are also just like, ooh, but just you wait.
Just
it's
you
like those
wait.
infomercials that you wake up to at 3 a.m. But wait, there's more.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Aelin takes out the Sword of Orinth, and Lysandra shifts into her snow leopard form. They then attack the remaining soldiers, and within 20 minutes, they have control of the temple, and Aelin uses her fire to cleanse it. Aelin then steps onto the rock, the sacred stone at the heart of the temple. While on the rock, Aelin takes out a word key, the word key amulet, and puts it around her neck. After a few moments, the spirit of her ancestor, Brannon, appears and answers her questions about Maeve. He admits that he doesn't know how Maeve can be killed, although she is not Valg, she is unusual. He gives Aelin advice on how to handle her flames, the same flames that he once wielded. He tells Aelin that she needs to find the lock in the stone marshes in the south. Okay, I want to again really pause right here really quick. I remember this whole scene being like, oh my gosh, and then like Brandon's here and we're talking blah blah blah. But then when he starts telling her to find the lock, I don't know if this happened to you or honestly anyone listening, but my typical cynicism started kicking in, and I was like, is this really Brandon? I was like, is this maybe some kind of weird trick somehow? And they're just trying to like get her to go to a certain point so they can ambush her. I really thought that's what was happening here. And so I wish I didn't, because I think it kind of ruined this scene for me. Because in the back of my mind, I was just like, he's full of crap. Don't listen to him. Like, the lock, this is the first we're ever hearing of a lock. Obviously, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Don't listen. Stay on your path that you're planning on. And
I think you need to work on yourself a little bit. I
do.
think you need to trust.
I think it says a lot more about me than anything else. But
I don't know. Some of these authors really have done a number on us, though, so I don't blame you. I think
specifically this author has done a number on me.
For me, I think I was frustrated at this point because I'm like, we're how many books in, and now there's another task to do this, to do that, to do that. It reminded me of, and here's another Disney reference for your lovely Wednesday morning. In Pirates #2, when he has the picture of the key and they're like, what is that? A key? No, it's a drawing of the key. We need to find the key to unlock the chest, to stab the heart. There's like so many tasks, and I'm so tired, and I'm just reading. I can't imagine being like, okay, now we got to go find the lock to go take care of all these. Yeah, it's just it's a mess.
On some level, I do agree with you, because at what point, there's 8 books. Like, at what point are they gonna just figure it all out?
Yeah.
But I think the amount of time and everything written in all of the books was needed specifically for the character development. And I'm glad it wasn't shorter, because the way the characters were developed throughout this entire series was chef's kiss.
Yeah, so good.
But there has to be stuff going on in the book in order to, one, cultivate that development, but then also just keep the story going.
Yeah.
So I do understand, but I agree. I think it was around this part where I was kind of like, all right, more that we don't already know,
me,
and that we're just
like,
learning.
I do totally agree with you, but I almost also felt like there was just enough already going on. Maeve is a threat. Erewhon's a threat. Parrington is... Oh, is Parrington Erewhon? Yes.
Yes. We do know that at this point.
The king was maybe dead, but he could have made it. We don't know. Then the witches are a threat. There's literally being closed in on all sides. I felt like the lock was like a good side quest situation, but I was like, we have enough to work with. So,
yeah.
And that's my take today.
Well, I agree. And here's the lock comes into play in a second because it does tie in the Nightfall chapter that we read on last week's episode, the prequel. And let's just jump right into that then, shall we? This lock, when bound with the word keys, can permanently close the word gate, which Elena needs Aelin to do. So this is that part where they know she was sneaky, and her and Gavin in the beginning just let everyone assume Erewhon had been defeated when really he had just been like duct taped, like just putting a band-aid on that situation and let someone else figure it out later on. And so this is what she was intending to or needed to do way back then and couldn't because they weren't powerful enough.
Yep.
When Brandon disappears, Aelin tells Adian and Lysandra about the lock, though she wants to prioritize finding allies. I thought that was really
telling
smart.
her friends things. Finally.
Yeah, but I also thought that was a really smart decision because, again, like we know, like you said, like, oh my gosh, more things to do.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that she wasn't like, all right, let's just drop everything and go do this because some figment of my imagination.
I think, and that's why I hated it, because I was like, you have so much going on already. But then when she did prioritize, I was like, all right, my girl is in my head too. So, okay, we're good.
Also, I realized I said figment of my imagination, and I realized that he actually was like summoned, but you get what I was saying. It was like the equivalent of a hologram, and we're moving on. I lost where oh yes, they are interrupted by the arrival of the head overseer of Endovier, aka the salt mine where Aelin was enslaved and brutalized. This one, my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah.
He taunts Aelin about her traumatic past, and when she tries to use her power on him to free him from Vogue control, he reveals that he doesn't have a Vogue collar. Instead, he has an iron Vogue heart. Erewhon then tears the head of the overseer's body apart until all that is left is the man's cracked chest and black shadows and the gold eyes of Erewhon's eyes. Erewhon was then standing there. That part, I was reading it, I was like, again,
I flipped a bee because I was like, she's not ready. She's not ready for this.
Exactly.
There's more books. This is not good.
Well, and I'm like, where's the rest of the crew? Yeah. There's only 3 of them. Like, this cannot be how this ends.
This is not the final battle. Yeah, I was freaking out. I was like, she's going to get massively hurt here because there's no other way this plays out.
I know, and I saw no other ending other than her dying. Like,
yeah.
Because this is Erewhon. This isn't some, like, second rank.
This isn't a henchman.
Yeah.
This isn't Smee.
Mr. Smee. Erewhon tells Aelin that resisting him and his plans is futile. She tries to battle him with her flames, but it's difficult. Erewhon is surprised that Aelin tried to flee the Overseer instead of killing him immediately. He tells Aelin that he knows where Rowan and Dorian are and plans to capture them and turn them into Vogue generals in his army. When Aelin tries to attack Erewhon, he blasts her with power. Erewhon leaves, and Aelin incinerates the Overseer's body. She and Adian and Lysandra agree to rush to Skulls Bay. That was an emotional roller coaster. Man. It really was. So let's just jump back over to Tower of Dawn then, shall we? Irene arrives late to see Chaol, and she sends his servant away to get ingredients so that she can talk to him. She tells him about the dead healer and that something was hunting her. Chaol believes a Vogue is responsible for what happened. The healer had looked like Irene, so they believe that it was thinking that it had killed her. The Vogue also took the text that she had been reading. Irene reveals that she teaches a class on self-defense. She teaches what oh my gosh, Aelin, then known as Selena, taught her years ago. She wants Chaol to go with her and teach them what he knows. Irene is getting Chaol into a special brace and straps made so that he can ride a horse. Irene starts healing and it causes Chaol very intense pain. There's an echo in the dark magic in his wound, and it hates Irene's magic. Chaol will experience excruciating pain the whole time that she's healing him. Irene will need to fight the magic and heal him at the same time. Irene says that he must talk about what happened and heal his emotional wounds as well, but he refuses, just like we were talking about earlier. And I, the entire time, was thinking, well, he really must not want to walk that badly then.
That's what I thought. I was like, so if you know that this could work if you were just open and honest, because there's an inner healing that needs to happen.
Yes.
Then I guess you don't want it.
Yeah.
It's just
then what
simple
was the
as
point
that.
of traveling down to the continent if
I know.
When you get here and she says, here's the answer to your problems, you go, I don't really like that, and I'm not going to do it.
I do understand that, like, this may be relatable for some people and that we really should be sensitive, but I think what really does me in here is that, like, Aelin just went through 10 times as much as Chaol did, honestly. If exactly the same thing, but also her parents were murdered. She was laying in their blood. Like, there's so much more that happened to her, and she's still out there fighting as hard as she can, and all Chaol has to do is literally embrace the hurt in him and try to heal from that internally, and he's being so stubborn. He's like, I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, there are people dying. You need to hurry this up. There's a lot going on, and he just won't. And I think his stubbornness really sent me.
It is. I agree. It's his stubbornness, and it's just that this is a reoccurring theme. It's interesting because I felt like throughout all of these books, Chaol, I'm certainly not going to say nothing has happened to him. Like you said, like he has issues with his parents. His dad was a piece of work. Like his mom never stood up for him. Like I'm not saying he didn't have problems or like things he needed to work through. I actually think he had lots that he needs to work through. My problem is that it felt like it was never his fault. Even like I know internally he felt a lot of guilt and pressure and pain, but then the way other people perceived it, like he portrayed all of that as if it wasn't a problem. And I agree with you. Like you said, I do think that it can be a sensitive situation. And I know that talking about stuff isn't easy. I'm certainly not wanting to say that everyone should just get over it and talk about their stuff.
Yeah, absolutely not.
But I think it's just because it's his character. If any other character was doing this, I think I would be like, you know what? I get it. Like,
well,
I wouldn't really want to.
And it's the posture he took too with this, because he wasn't a sad person and saying like, "Hey, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I have a lot that I'm going through, and I don't know if I'm ready." He came off angry with Irene.
Yes,
despicable. And
and same with
sent
Aelin.
Me too.
Like, oh, you're an assassin. You kill people. What? Like it was everything. It was her problem. Like it's never. It's always like, it does. I don't know. It just felt like everything that, like, if he was upset about something, it was very much projected, and that just irritates the crap out of me. It also is triggering, I think, a little bit, so if you couldn't tell. So, Chaol wants Nesryn to try and talk to Sartaq, so she goes and finds him in the Eyrie. Sartaq takes her for a ride on Cadera, and they talk about Adelin and what Aelin did to the king, as they have heard that she, not Dorian, killed the king. Interesting.
The truth comes out.
Nesryn tells him the king was a monster and that Aelin did Aurelia a favor. Jumping back to Empire of Storms, but we're picking up with my favorite part of this storyline. Manon spends the night before Astrid's execution brooding. And if you guys don't remember, we ended this with the last episode with Astrid's death sentence. Sorrel, her third and soon to be second if Astrid dies, almost challenges her about letting Astrid die from Manon's secrets. Manon plans to invoke the words of request, which would be her right to kill Astrid instead of letting the other witches torture and behead her. So that next morning she does that. Before the Yellow Legs can begin torturing Astrid, Manon invokes the words of request, which are honored. She goes over to Astrid and sees the love and devotion in her eyes, even though Astrid could save her own life by giving Manon up. Manon then realizes in that moment that she has both a heart and a soul, and both require her to do the right thing. I love her so much.
Love her.
She tells the 13 to run before taking her sword and, in a surprise turn of events, attacking her grandmother, the Blackbeak matron.
Pause. This truly was a moment in this series that I audibly gasped because
Yes.
like I said, I know Sarah doesn't have a knack for killing characters that are more involved, but this one really, to me, seemed like this was going to be it. Like, even as wrong as it was, and we knew Manon had a lot of chances prior to this, I think, to do the right thing, and she didn't.
Yes.
And so I wasn't expecting anything more from her. I don't know why, like, when I'm reading it, when I reflect now, I'm like, oh, obviously she wouldn't kill her. But when I was reading
I agree.
it, she really sold the fact that she was going to kill her. And so I was like, already, my heart was like letting Astrid go. I was already in mourning. And then when she turned around and swung to attack the grandmother, absolute full body chills. I gasped. I might have dropped my book. This was such an intense moment for me. I remember texting my friends like, I can't believe this.
Yeah. Well, and 100%. Like you said, she constantly is contemplating doing the right thing, but then either kind of like secretly does it or just kind of like at the last minute changes her mind and just goes on with what she knows she's supposed to do, but is just like mad about it. And so like we can see her subtle change over the last few books and like where she was to now. But like you said, like for her to actually like take the action, I was not expecting it. And like you said, Sarah doesn't kill people generally. I really wasn't concerned for Manon in this scenario. I thought her grandma was going to be dead. And I was so excited.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, that is a cruel lady.
So let's find out.
Let's find out. As Manon and her grandma fight, the 13 escape. In the battle, the Blackbeak matron reveals the truth of Manon's heritage. Manon's father was a secret Kraken prince, and he and Manon's mother believed that she, aka Manon, could be a child of peace to unite the Iron Teeth witches and the Kraken witches. The matron murdered Manon's father and turned Manon into a bloodthirsty, war-motivated Iron Teeth heir. The Kraken spy who infiltrated the witches in Morath during Queen of Shadows was actually Manon's half-sister. So not only is Manon now a witch killer, she's also a kin killer. To be fair, she didn't know who she was, but still.
Yeah.
And that broke her, and broke me as well. I literally couldn't imagine. Horrified and wounded by this news, Manon throws herself over the side of the cliff, landing on Abraxos. She and the 13 engage in a flying battle with the Yellowlegs before Manon falls unconscious near Oakwald's forest. I forgot to mention this, but her grandma gets a really good slice in there to her like abdomen before she falls over the edge. And which is why she falls unconscious near Oakwald forest. Oof. All right, back to Tower of Dawn. As Irene is healing Chaol, the dark magic shows her images of Morath. Nesryn goes into the city to try and search for signs of the Vogue, and Sartaq follows her. Sartaq tells her that he hasn't heard that Rifthold is filled with monsters, that he has heard that Rifthold is filled with monsters and beasts that look like humans but aren't. Nesryn tells him about her mother, who got sick, but the king had rid Aurelia of magic and killed all of the healers, so she couldn't be treated. Her father wanted to bring her to the Torre, but she got too sick to make the journey and she passed away. She explains to Sartaq that if he sees anyone with black rings or collars, then he should behead them or kill them. Well, I guess beheading them would kill them. I don't know why I put or. But he should kill them.
You should.
Oh, if you're viewing this and not just listening, you've seen a surprise appearance by Ellie's new kitty. I call her Mildew, but that's not her name.
Her name's Winifred. I don't know why Melissa has such a problem.
I could not remember her name for the longest time, and I kept saying Mildred, and I knew, but Winifred is, anyways, that's where Mildew came from. But she's so cute.
She is so cute. She's such a great cat. I love her.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, she tells Sartaq if she sees anyone, or if he sees anyone with a collar, then they need to be dead. She explains everything that she can about the Vogue. Sartaq explains that his hearth mother at the Rukinen had told him stories, making it sound like there was Vogue presence on this continent a long time ago.
So, on the note of seeing anyone with rings or collars that they need to be killed, that crushed me a little bit. I was having some kind of like conflict with this, with myself in this book. Yeah, because I'm like, that's such a waste. These people did not choose to be Valg, most of them.
Oh, true.
They were
I mean, they're not technically Valg either. They're just being
just controlled.
Controlled, yeah.
Right. They're literally being hosts for the parasites that are in them now. And I'm like, it's so sad that like, what a waste. They're just doing life, and then something kidnaps their bodies, and now they're sentenced to die because they're automatically playing for the bad side. I was so bummed by that.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree, but I also think what helped me not be, not that I wasn't upset about it, but just kind of like not think about it, is we've gotten the perspective of multiple people at this point have been like taken over by a Vogue, and we know that all they want is to die. Yeah. They're like, I can't do this anymore, just kill me. And also at this point, there's no known cure. Like, they don't know. There's no way that they know of to like stop it. The only way to stop it is to kill them, and that's like the only freedom you can really give that person.
Totally understand. So, like, it's just such a bummer.
It's sad, and I mean, it's the equivalent of like in real life. I mean, someone getting hit by a drunk driver or kidnapped or something. I mean, like, they weren't doing anything; they were just living their life until they weren't. Like,
I know the injustice like, that makes me so sad.
I know, and it sucks, but I think, like, because this isn't real and because we have some, like, explanations of why it not justifies it, but just makes it a little easier and, like, less annoying or less sad to think about, it helped me read while reading.
Sure, yeah.
Irene meets Chaol and they ride over to the self-defense class. Irene uses it as a teaching lesson for some of the girls and allows them to help him down off of his horse. Chaol was furious and embarrassed.
Add this to the list. Add it to the list.
Nope. Yeah. I was going to say the exact opposite. With as much crap as I give Chaol and as much as his character annoyed me, I 100% understood why he felt like this. I actually was kind of irritated with Irene that she let them do this. Because, like, that's so emasculating to have girls take him. He's not like, this isn't, to be fair, I mean, I guess Irene doesn't know him outside of this like physical disability that he has, but we know that he's only been like this for like a couple of weeks. Like, this isn't something he's lived with his whole life, and so I mean, he's not used to needing help, let alone asking for it, let alone from young girls. I mean, like, so I completely understand from his standpoint why he would, the way he reacted, I don't justify, but his feelings and everything in reaction to this, I think I would have felt the same being in that situation.
Melissa, to me, I'm just like, they're not making fun of you. Like, they're trying to genuinely help you, and you're gonna throw a little tantrum. I do understand his feelings, because personally, I mean, you can't control what makes you embarrassed, but you can control how you react to the embarrassment. Yeah, and if you're someone that's like, well, guess I needed this help today, like, oh, shucks, then everything's better. But the fact that he just kind of like threw a tantrum and was like, you humiliated me. And I'm like, can you not? Like, can you just not? But
yeah, well, so that's what I'm saying.
Everyone is entitled to their own reactions. That's fine.
I don't
just
necessarily
might not enjoy reading about it.
I don't necessarily agree with how he reacted, but I do think that it was messed up of Irene. And I know it wasn't necessarily said explicitly, but to be honest, I kind of felt like she knew he wasn't going to take that well, and she still wasn't like Team Chaol either. And she didn't really like him, and to be honest, didn't really want to be helping him, even though she knew she like needed to, because of like the vow, like she is a healer, like, and he needs help, so because of the principle she's helping him, but she doesn't want to be helping him either. So I really felt like, even on a subconscious level, she knew what this would do to him, and she didn't care, and she like encouraged it. And so that's another reason to me where I was like, this is not a good look for you either, Irene. Like, let's just move on.
I can totally see your side. I think just for me, as the just absolute honest as the reader, I was not embarrassed for Chaol when he was helped off the horse by little girls. I truly felt cringy and uncomfortable, like deep within, with his reaction to it. And that's where I was like, cut it. Again, this guy sucks.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I felt uncomfortable for him, and then I felt uncomfortable afterwards with his reaction. So it was just bad all around.
Bad all around. Well done, Sarah.
Irene and
you really
Chaol,
make me feel.
Yeah. Irene and Chaol fight about her letting the acolytes help him. Here it is. Chaol asks Irene if her problem is with him or with Aelin in general. So she then tells him how the Aelin soldiers burned her mother alive while she watched, and that shut him up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Chaol is being healed, and it shows him more painful memories from his past. Irene sees them as well. Chaol tells Irene about Dorian, watching Sorsha be again, we're still talking about her.
Hey.
Watching Sorsha be killed, and then Chaol fleeing and leaving Dorian there. And he's finally starting to open up. So guess what else opens up? That's right, his toes. So he can start to curl them now, and they see progress.
I was really encouraged by this. As much as I didn't like him, I wanted to see the man walk. And I was like, yes!
Yeah. I was like, finally! We're gonna... Because to me, I was like, okay, this is... Well, I see some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe he will stop whining. We have seen how this works. Irene was right. He opened up, he gave her a little something, and now he can move his toes around.
Honestly, this whole episode should just be our problems with Chaol. I think that actually I'm going to rescind my previous comment. I think what really bugs me about Chaol and at the core of it all is that he is someone who always has a problem. He is never content. Yeah. He is never helping for a long period of time. He always is like, oh, I've made things worse, or like, I'm going to try to help, but I messed up, or like, I'm gonna use all my men, but and now I have a problem. It's like, he's like always frowning in my mind. Yeah. And I don't like someone that's so like, oh, everything's out to get, it's sadness. It's literally sadness. Everything's out to get me. My life's terrible. Now I can't walk. It's like, I see where he tried to help, but it's just, again, another problem where, like, at least Aelin was like, let's recruit all these allies. You know, he's not my favorite either, but he was more of a help than an issue. Yeah. Rowan's constantly helping as Aelin's support and also, like, leading a lot of this. Aelin's obviously taking charge, going at least Sandra is
chef's kiss
badass.
With her help. Yeah.
Always working. And so everyone's putting in a lot of work without a lot of issues. Yeah. The issues are coming at them. Chaol is his own issue, like, all the time.
He is an amplifier, and he amplifies his issues.
All right, that's my take.
I agree. I like your take.
Thanks.
We're jumping back to Empire Storms, chapter 19, and I take it back. I said earlier that the Manon aspect. Okay, it's tied. I'm not gonna take it back. Manon and her story is tied for my favorite in this book with Aelin, and now we get to see my girl.
Aelin. I do love Aelin. I do.
Aelin and Lorcan trek through Oakwald for days. They arrive at a village, and Aelin styles herself and Lorcan as regular travelers and tells people that they have been married for 3 months. Aww. In town, they encounter a performance troupe, and offer to join them. Aelin falsely claims to be a fortune teller and says that Lorcan is a sword thrower and strongman. I just also, for a second, I could not take this seriously reading about her calling him a strongman.
I love that.
I just felt so, I think, quite honestly, not much up until that point in this series has given me the ick. The way being called a strong man did. I hate it. I'm literally like right now sitting here, my like fingers are curling in just thinking about it. Like I'm like I just had to point. I don't know if anyone else. It really, and it's such a weird thing for me to like get hung up on.
Like Barnum and Bailey's, like, you know, they have those like the guys that can lift 1 million pounds.
100%. And I know, and I mean, they're literally like thrown a glass circus. Like that's exactly what these people are. Like I get it, but it's just that like I think it's more strong, the phrase strongman mixed with Lorcan and like then a lead saying it. I don't know.
I need to confess something. I have thought the word strongman, like from the circus, was like such a funny term. I don't know why. I've always thought it was so funny. And my brother-in-law, he owns a CrossFit gym and he's like jacked. And I've always been like, I don't know, whenever he lifts weights and like puts it on Instagram, I'll be like, what is that? 5 pounds. But like, I always refer to him like, okay, strongman. And it's never landed with that group. And I just keep trying it. And I think that I'm realizing maybe they just think I'm calling him a strong man. And that's weird. But I'm like, I think that's so funny to me, but no one's getting it. I don't know. Maybe I don't even get it. I think I'm going to stop.
Maybe I'm the problem.
I know.
No, I know it's a reference to like an actual thing in the circus. Like I understand that it's not a weird like or misplaced term for Sarah to be using in this. I literally can't even explain it. There's just something about it. It's just one of those things for me.
One of those. Yeah.
It strongman is it for me. It feels weird. I hate it. Anyways.
Bizarre.
The troupe accepts them. Lorcan wonders about Aelin, whom he still thinks is named Marion. He realizes that Aelin was enslaved in Morath and feels bad about the evidence of her mistreatment, aka her mangled foot. He does not like the casual touch that Aelin gives him, as he does not like affection in general.
I relate to that.
From the troupe, they hear about the carnage in Rifthold, and everyone worries about the possibility of conscription. Lorcan also worries that there will be no happy ending for Aelin. This was so funny to me because I'm like, we can see that he's starting to maybe
open
even
up
care a little bit about her, but like he doesn't understand it and he doesn't like that he feels this way. But then at the same time, she like graces his arm and he's like repulsed. And so I'm like, pick a lane, Lorcan. Are you starting to like care for her, or are you just indifferent? Like or do you hate her? Like just the snip snap.
Oh, but isn't that how all the best romances start? When you pretend to be married and you're repulsed by the touch of the other, but then also maybe you're repulsed because you're repulsed with yourself because you can't stop thinking about her. You know,
it's just so good. I don't know, maybe some grumpy sunshine action thrown in there.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. From the strong man himself.
Stop it. All right. And our last chapter for today, everyone, Tower of Dawn 17. Nesryn goes to visit her uncle and her aunt. She then tells them about the attack at the Torre and advises them to hire more guards. The end.
Nice. The end.
It was a quick one.
Pretty good.
That was fun. I'm going to be honest, I really liked a lot of the parts of Tower of Dawn that we read about today. I remember this part of, don't get Chaol, it was Chaol, but I wasn't expecting much from him. So I liked everything else that was happening, and I loved all of this part, Empire of Storms, everything that was going on.
I love Empire of Storms.
Really
every time we pop back over to Empire of Storms, I'm like, yes! Because it's such a pick-me-up. It's so action-packed and got all my favorite characters, so it's great.
Agreed. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. If you don't already follow us, go follow us at L.A.M.E Book Club Pod on socials, subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review, follow us on Spotify if you use Spotify. But we hope everyone has a great rest of your week, and we can't wait for our next Hot Goss episode on Monday.
Catch you next time. Bye.
Peace out.